What's up guys? Today's video is going to be about us trying to make this Minecraft type inventory system. It's probably going to be divided into three parts, one containing the basic inventory system, which we're going to do today, and the crafting and the toolbar. Yeah, let's get right into it. So here I'm in a new project, and I'm going to name the project Inventory System that I'm gonna upload on YouTube. So now, to make an inventory system, we need the inventory costumes. So I have got the costumes like those, and I have got the pen extension, which you can get from here, by the way, so right there, and got ready of my lists and variables. Of course, we aren't going to use all the variables, but we're getting ready for it. So for the costumes, you will need the inventory slot, something like 35 by 35, looking like that. An inventory, which is literally just a back of our inventory. And then our empty thing, so this can be 30 by 30, like 5 pixels smaller than this. Nothing. And jam, diamond, apple, pickaxe, axe, iron, sticks, planks, crafting table, furnace, and stone. I have drew all of those, and let's get into coding. Now, first, of course, we will need when green flag is clicked. So let's go to pen, get erase all block. Let's put a forever loop, and then let's go ahead and get an if. And let's go here. You guys can do this or not. I'm gonna get an or and key I pressed to open my inventory, but also because we're testing to be easier, I'm also gonna include E. If it wasn't to be, then I would only just do I. Anyways, it's your choice, and let's go to events, get a broadcast message. Let's create a new message, or oh yeah, let's create a message naming close inventory. So yeah, we will need that, and let's go to my blocks, make a block, name it create inventory. Basically meaning open up inventory, so I'll add that right there. Open inventory. So you can select run without screen refresh and just drag that in there. Now you guys can put a value in, I'll just leave it as 0, 0. And then, oh yeah, so this has to be X, Y, you don't have to add a label. Just to be easier, I have added one. And you guys can put wait until, so because we don't want to close our inventory right away, so not key I or E pressed, and then wait until I or E is pressed again. Basically what that's doing is just open up inventory, wait until not E is pressed, so we let go of the key, we press it again, then the inventory eventually closes. Now, we have lots of variables. We will have clone ID for the sprite only, clone X, clone Y for the sprite only, so it's named exactly what it has to. It is a clone variable, so I've added a clone. And counter is for all sprites. Craft is for all sprites. Dragging is for all sprites. Overtop is for all sprites. Replacement is for the sprite only. Now what replacement is, you'll get to know, because if we make an inventory system, we switch up items spot So there was 2 items and we switched their spot. We have to find a replacement, which is going to be the item you switched with. So basically, you're going to contain that item in the variable. Anyways, let's move on, and we'll bring our close inventory to the bottom. And then we will duplicate that, only get this block, not key something's pressed, and we'll go ahead and start coding our create inventory block. Create inventory is basically the main block, which means it's going to be the longest and probably not the most complicated one, but yeah. So let's get set size block to 100 because when we make a crafting system, we're going to have a little bit bigger one to show that it's going to be the result. And then let's go to motion, get a go to block. Let's go to the X and Y, which is 0, 0. And let's go to the pen, get erase all, and then we'll want to show. And then we will switch to costume inventory, which is the back of it, the back of the inventory. So I'll also name it back of it, which makes it a little bit easier. And then let's get stamp. So to be less laggy, we're going to stamp it down and we're literally just going to delete the clone. And then let's duplicate that, get it inventory slot, and go to sensing, get a set drag mode to not draggable. And then we'll want to set our dragging to 0 and clone ID to 0. So now you see our inventory back of it, the back of the inventory is showing when we run the project like that. But now we can open it, but we can't close it. But we don't even have our things yet, so let's first display our inventory slots and then move on to closing our inventory. So let's pick our go-to block and let's get 2 subtractions, X, Y. You can do a certain value, put a certain value, and make it go here. So yeah, somewhere there, like a 1 block off its position right now. So let's get a repeat 8, and let's go to variables, get a change clone ID by 1, and change X by a certain value, and in my case it's going to be 40 because my block is 35 and I want it a little bit spaced up, so yeah. You just have to do a little bit bigger than the value you see right here. Mine is 35, so a little bit bigger might be 40. So let's stay as 40. Let's also get a stamp, and then let's set our clone ID, clone X, and clone Y to its X position and Y position. You might know what that is, and let's go ahead and create a kernel myself, so we will stamp out our things. And there we go, we have 8 slots. And then what we'll do is go ahead and change our Y by a certain value. In this case, I'll do 53, even though it's really supposed to be 40, because you see there's a little bit bigger gap between these two and the rest are same. And that is because I'm going to make a toolbar, and for a better separation, I have done this. So you guys can do that too. And let's go ahead, set our X to X. So X from here minus a certain value. In this case, it's going to be a negative 80. So basically just copy this one. It's going to be at the same X for all of these. Let's go ahead, start making our actual inventory, which you're literally just going to copy that and then bring that there, copy this, and you just really need the repeat loop, and let's put it over this. You guys can do 3 by 8, and then let's keep that, and let's change this value to 40. Now if you run our project, you see our thing displaying well. Well, you still see this showing, so let's go to looks, get a hide. And it is a clean inventory that is displaying very well. Now let's move on to our next block, which is gonna help us drag around our items. Oh, and I made a mistake saying that we will delete the clones, but either we're gonna use the clones as an item. So we stamped the inventory slots. It's a picture now, and we are going to display our clones on that picture looking like it's in the inventory. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to control, get a when I start as a clone, let's get a forever loop, and then we'll start off with well, let's start off with this one because there's a lot to go. It is hard to choose which one we should do first. So let's go to operators, get it, and. So 2 ands. Let's get 2 not, and 2 equal signs, and 0. And let's go to verbals, get a not dragging equals 0 because potentially we don't want to drag around a bunch of items in the same time. Like, we don't want our cursor to be a magnet. So let's put that, and clone ID equals dragging. And then we want a bit of a better thing, but okay, let's just go to sensing and get a touch mouse pointer. And then let's go ahead, set our over top to clone ID. Now what you want, I forgot to explain, is that this will be named inventory slot, inventory back of it. You don't have to name it like that. These two's name doesn't really matter, but you should have this in order. And then you will have the 0 costume, which is literally nothing as I showed you, and you'll name the costumes after numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It doesn't matter how much digit it is. Yeah. So you can draw many as you want, but it's just gonna be a little bit longer for you. Doesn't matter. Now let's go ahead, duplicate that code, and let's go ahead, throw this one out, and put that back in. So we have to add a little bit more conditions. So let's go ahead and get one more and one more and a mouse down. And let's go ahead, throw this one out. And then let's use our direction as a variable. So you have to remember, go select direction, select this. It's going to be selected this as a default, which is all around, but what you want to do is select do not rotate, because we don't really need our inventory to rotate, do we? Anyways, let's go ahead and use our direction as a variable. You're going to put 0 in the first, and let's go to motion, get a direction, put it right there. And let's go ahead, duplicate that, put it there. And so what we'll want to do is to replace that direction with clone ID. And that's it, so let's put that there. And let's go check dragging, clone ID. So set our dragging to clone ID. And then what you want to do is get a repeat until loop, not mouse down. So basically what this is going to do is going to make us that we can select items, we click it, we drag it, we let our mouse go, then it's going to stop in that inventory. So it's going to work good. Now let's get a set drag mode to draggable and duplicate that. Just this and not draggable. And then let's go ahead and get a set replacement to, or maybe let's just leave that aside. And then it's time to show what's in the inventory, which is empty because there's literally nothing in the inventory. But that's not the case, so just delete all of inventory, even though there's probably going to be nothing. Just make sure, because you have to make sure. And if you don't know what that means, I don't either. So add 0 to inventory, repeat 32 times, okay? Then we're gonna have 32 things in the inventory. So basically, I have done 32 slots of inventory, so that's why I have added 32 things. But if you see, it's 4 times 8, so 4 times 8 is 32. So yeah, so I've added 32 things. Now let's go ahead and get a replace item. So this is actually the switching part over top of inventory with item dragging of inventory. So basically what that means is we're gonna switch up the item of the item that we're currently putting our cursor on, which means we're gonna select that block, the slot, and we're gonna replace it with the one that we're dragging. So when we do that, we'll want to replace the slot that the dragging item was in with the over top one. But here's the thing. Let's say this was dragging, and let's say you thought this should be over top. So yeah, makes sense. Replace item dragging of inventory with item over top. But you can't do that because we have already replaced the over top of item with dragging of inventory. So do you guys get what that means? Over top is now currently the same thing as dragging. So you shouldn't do that. So let's go ahead, and before we do that, set replacement to item over top of inventory. And let's put replacement there. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, then I guess you don't have to care. It just does it, okay? And let's go to variables, get a set dragging, set dragging to 0. And then we'll want to go to our clone X and clone Y. So literally is what it's doing is just switching up the costumes, not really moving the clones. If you guys get that, well, good for you. Now let's move on and get switch costume to, because I just said it, we now have to switch to costumes. We can't just stay same with stay our costumes same so users can't notice it. You want to switch to costumes. You don't just want to switch up the data in the inventory list. So let's go here and get a plus, and then item clone ID of inventory, and then let's get a plus 30. If you guys don't know, the reason of that is, remember, we still have our costumes. We don't want this as an item. We don't want our base to be an item. We don't want nothing to be an item, because Why would you want nothing? Okay, so we will skip this 3, so we'll add 3 and start using these as our items. So let's go ahead and do that. And then let's just start really going fast because we're running out of time. Let's go ahead get when I start as a clone. We'll keep the forever loop and let's get an if this one, which is greater than. So if clone ID is greater than 0, we will point in direction. So we're now finally using our direction as variables. Clone ID of inventory. And then what we'll do is just copy that, switch costume to this. And then what we'll do is just go ahead and wait until not equals direction item clone ID of inventory. So now what that will do is, I believe it's finished. Oh yes, we forgot about close inventory. So when I receive close inventory, we'll go ahead, erase all, and delete this clone because there are still clones to display. And I believe finally that is it. Let's go ahead, test it out. Now it opened and closes very well. And then just wait, let me get a code ready for you. So I have these blocks, and this one is add item to inventory, fill inventory with random items, and just resetting our inventory. So let's quickly talk about how this works. So first off, what we want is know what it is. So add item number input to inventory, run without screen refresh. Fill the inventory with random items, run without screen refresh. Reset inventory, run without screen refresh. And let's talk about reset inventory, the easiest. Let's go and delete all of our inventory. We don't need any of our old datas. Let's fill it up with 0. It's literally nothing. Anyways, doesn't matter. And let's go ahead and fill the inventory with the random items. Delete all of inventory, repeat 32, add 0 to 10 to inventory, including nothing, which is literally 10. Now let's go ahead, talk about the hardest one, add item to inventory. Set replacement to 32, meaning that 4 times 8 is 32. Repeat 32 times, meaning that 4 times 8 is 32. And if else, if equals item replacement in inventory equals 0, meaning that it's nothing. And replace item replacement of inventory with item. And stop the script. And the else, let's go ahead and change replacement by -1. And broadcast inventory full after that, because if the script wasn't stopped repeating this 32 times, meaning that there's no more spot in the inventory. So let's go ahead and broadcast inventory's full, and let's just spit out the item, and that's it. So let's go ahead and fill our inventory with the random items. As you see, we can. So guys, I have finally fixed the bugs. So I have made few mistakes, and that was this one. It has to be a little bit smaller. It was a little bit big, wide, so I've make that smaller to 20. And it was not dragging equals 0, and I've switched that up to dragging equals 0, which probably was the biggest mistake in the thing. And what I've done was that saw that it was updating a little bit too slow, saw it glitchy, so I have a broadcast message block, broadcast update faster inventory, which haven't added inventory word, but I guess you don't have to. And then there's an update faster, just literally just brought the block here. And the reason why I did that is you might know because broadcasting a message will eventually make it a little bit faster. So now if you see we have our inventory moving, switching and moving, so cool. And we can open and close our inventory very noisily. And then in the next episode, we'll probably get to making our crafting system. So, yep, thank you for watching, guys. It was a pretty long video because there was way too many code. But, you guys have finished the video. So, thank you very much. And see you in the next episode. And peace.